Hello, my friendos. Ooh, I need light. Give me a second here. I always forget to turn my light on. There we go. Now I'm a pro streamer. Hello, Gwen. Look, guys, look up over there. Gwen's name is showing up at the top as the latest follower. I'm figuring things out. A lot of my stuff doesn't work yet because I'm not affiliate, but I'm getting closer. Oh God, V. How is everybody tonight? Today has been a day, my friendos. My son, my youngest, he's just a hard way learner, man. And he's fighting with his mom. But I wanted to stream. I'm getting very close to an affiliate status. All I need now are just my hours. Everything is good. I've got enough viewers. I've got enough followers. When everything's set up. If you look below, you can see that I set up just like information or it can be similar. It depends on how expensive the lady is. Anyway, I set up tip links down below. I set up the link to the Google Drive down there. And if you have been on any of the previous streams, hi baby, we're not playing with the toy right now though. You gotta keep going. I set up the Google Drive. You were at any of the previous streams, you can download the oval portrait if you desire. And you can download Ethan Brand as a monster that will fit your 5e. Your 5e. Oh, I'm getting wrestled now. Ugh. She's pulling my arm. I'm going to die. Oh my God. All right, take your toy and go. But yeah, so you can check that out. Tomorrow we will be streaming here at 8 p.m. Oh, doesn't have her nice. She has her cactus now. Salty gave her a cactus, and that's quickly become one of the favorite toys. Yes, Cookie. Hello. Welcome to all my friendos who are here. I tonight have a reading for you by Guy de Mapassant. And I have not read it. Yeah, all my friends and Big Jim are here. It's crazy. I have set up the ban command. Feel free to ban each other as you will. So that's there. Hey, Belle Suze. I noticed that you joined the Discord, and I appreciate that. It's good to see you back. I'm glad you found us. Yeah, I don't have my own Bandai command yet, or emote yet. You know, we're figuring it out. The Discord link is also below, and thank you, V, for putting it there. Let's switch over to our regular lo-fi and see where that's at. I'm setting up a stream list. I will probably start sharing my stream lists out in case you guys want to listen to those. Mostly they're just lo-fi, but I did set up some D&D background music. And, oh, there's Doggo right there. Hello, Doggo. I did set up some D&D background music and some suspense music. So we're going to give that a shot too. No Doggo yet. I'll have to set up a Doggo command. What should the Doggo command say, V? Tell us about Autumn. Okay, I can tell you about Autumn. Autumn is 6 now, and she's a pit mix, and she's a good doggo. She's finally starting to, I know, finally starting to calm down now. She got a big basketball head, and she wants out right now, but she can't go out because it's raining. I have not read this Diamond Necklace yet. Oh, I can't. It's up here. There she is, scratching her head down there. I have not read the Diamond Necklace yet, but I wanted to. I'm going to be setting up some some bedtime streams. I've been talking to Salty about this. Salty used to be an English teacher at a high school level, and her favorite novel is Tess of D'Urbervilles. And so I was thinking of doing a series of reading bedtime to Salty, and you guys can join along. Fighting the doggo. All right, let's get started, and we will see what goes on. This might be a short stream, but we'll see what's going on, and then we'll probably raid out and see what other one of our friends are. But again, I will be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock. We're doing Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And then after that, after we read Legend of Sleepy Hollow, we will work on at least one of these things, whatever you guys choose. An NPC for Ichabod Crane. We can choose everything about him, but we'll make him there. Or a monster of the Headless Horseman. Yeah, I'll send her over. And we'll do a monster for the Headless Horseman. But for tonight, just a quick pop-up stream of the Diamond Necklace. Oh, yeah, you wouldn't even need to, V. You just let the two dogs play, and they would go crazy. The Diamond Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. And so, again, I have not read it. We're going into this totally blind. Let's try out our new D&D background music. We'll see how it goes. The girl was one of those pretty and charming young creatures who sometimes are born as if by a slip of fate into a family of clerks. She had no dowry, no expectations, no way of being known, understood, loved, married by any rich or distinguished man. So she let herself be married to a little clerk of the Ministry of Public Instruction. She dressed plainly because she could not dress well, but she was unhappy, as if she had really fallen from a higher station, since with women there is neither caste nor rank, for beauty, grace, and charm take the place of family and birth. Natural ingenuity, instinct for what is elegant, and supple mind are their sole hierarchy, and often make of women of the people the equals of the very greatest ladies. Matilda suffered ceaselessly, feeling herself born to enjoy all delicacies and all luxuries. She was distressed at the poverty of her dwelling and the bareness of her walls, at the shabby chairs, the ugliness of the curtains. All those things of which another woman of her rank would never have even been conscious, tortured her and made her angry. The sight of the little Breton peasant who did her humble housework aroused in her despairing regrets and bewildering dreams. She thought of silent antechambers hung with oriental tapestry, illuminated by the tall bronze candelabra, and of two great footmen in knee breeches who sleep in the big armchairs, made drowsy by the oppressive heat of the stove. She thought of long reception halls, hung with an ancient silk, of the dainty cabinets containing priceless curiosities, and of the little coquettish perfumed reception rooms made for chatting at 5 o'clock with intimate friends, with men famous and sought after, whom all women envy and whose attention they all desire. When she sat down to dinner, before the round table covered with a tablecloth in use 3 days, opposite her husband, who uncovered the soup, tureen, and declared with a delighted air, "Ah, the good soup! I don't know anything better than that." She thought of dainty dinners, of shining silverware, of tapestry that peopled the walls with ancient personages and with strange birds flying in the midst of a fairy forest. And she thought of the delicious dishes served on marvelous plates, and of whispered gallantries to which you listen with a sphinx-like smile while you are eating the pink meat of a trout or the wings of a quail. Hello, Captain Mizzy. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for following. She had no gowns, no jewels, nothing. And she loved nothing but that. She felt made for that. She would have liked so much to please, to be envied, to be charming, to be sought after. She had a friend, a former schoolmate at the Covenant, who was rich and whom she did not like to go see anymore because she felt so sad when she came home. But one evening her husband reached home with a triumphant air and holding a large envelope in his hand. "There," said he, "there is something for you." She tore the paper quickly and out a printed card who bore these words. "The Minister of Public Instruction and Madame Georges Rapinel requests the honor of M. and Madame Loisel's company at the place of the ministry on Monday evening, January 18th. Instead of being delighted, as her husband had hoped, she threw the invitation on the table crossly, muttering, "What do you wish me to do with that? Why, my dear, I thought you would be glad. You never go out, and this is such a fine opportunity. I had great trouble to get it. Everyone wants to go. It's very select, and they are not giving many invitations to the clerks. The whole official world will be there." She looked at him with an agitated glance and said impatiently, "And what do you wish me to put on my back?" He had not thought of that. He stammered, Why the gown you go to the theater in? It looks very well to me." He stopped, distracted, seeing that his wife was weeping. Two great tears ran slowly from the corner of her eyes and towards the corner of her mouth. "What's the matter? What's the matter?" he answered. By a violent effort, she conquered her grief and replied in a calm voice, while she wiped her wet cheeks. "Nothing. Only I have no gown, and therefore I can't go to this ball. Give your card to some colleague whose wife is better equipped than I am." He was in despair. He resumed, "Come, let us see, Matilda. How much would it cost? A suitable gown, which you could use on other occasions. Something very simple." She reflected several seconds, making her calculations and wondering also what sum she could ask without drawing on herself an immediate refusal and a frightening exclamation from the economical clerk. Finally, she replied hesitatingly, "I don't know exactly, but I think I could manage it with 400 francs. He grew a little pale, because he was laying aside just that amount to buy a gun and treat himself with a little shooting next summer on the plain of Nanterre with several friends that used to shoot larks there on a Sunday. But he said, "Very well, I will give you 400 francs and try to have a pretty gown." The day of the ball grew near, and Madame Loisel seemed sad, uneasy, anxious. Her frock was ready, however. Her husband said to her one evening, "What's the matter? Come, you've seemed very queer these last 3 days." And she answered, "It annoys me not to have a single piece of jewelry, not a single ornament, nothing to put on, and I shall look poverty-stricken. I would almost rather not go at all." "Well, you might wear natural flowers," said her husband. They are very stylish this time of year. For 10 francs you can get 2 or 3 magnificent roses." She was not convinced. "There's nothing more humiliating than to look poor amongst the other women who are rich." "How stupid you are," her husband cried. "Go look up your friend, Madame Forestier, and ask her to lend you some jewels. You're intimate enough that she should do that." She uttered a cry of joy. "True, I never thought of it." The next day she went to her friend and told her of her distress. Madame Forestier went to her wardrobe with a mirror and took out a large jewel box, brought it back and opened it, and said to Madame Loisel, "Choose, my dear." She saw some bracelets, then a pearl necklace, then a Venetian gold cross set with precious stones of admirable workmanship. She tried on the ornaments before the mirror, hesitated, and could not make up her mind to part with them, to give them back. She kept asking, "Haven't you any more?" "Why, yes. Look further. I don't know what you like." Suddenly she discovered in a black satin box a superb diamond necklace, and her heart throbbed with immoderate desire. Her hands trembled as she took it. She fashioned it around her throat, outside of her high-necked waist, and was lost in ecstasy at her reflection in the mirror. Then she asked hesitatingly, filled with anxious doubt, "Will you lend me only this?" "Why, yes, certainly." She threw her arms around her friend, kissed her passionately, then fled with her treasure. The night of the ball arrived. Madame Loisel was a great success. She was prettier than any other woman present, elegant, graceful, smiling and wild with joy. All the men looked at her, asked her name, sought to be introduced. All the attachés of the cabinet wished to waltz with her. She was remarked by the minister himself. She danced with rapture, with passion, intoxicated by pleasure, forgetting all of the triumph of her beauty in the glory of her success, in a sort of cloud of happiness comprised of all this homage, admiration, those awakened desires, and the sense of triumph that is so sweet to a woman's heart. She left the ball about 4 o'clock in the morning. Her husband had been sleeping since midnight in a little deserted anteroom with 3 other gentlemen whose wives were enjoying the ball. He threw over her shoulders the wraps he had bought, the modest wraps of a common life, the poverty which contrasted by the elegance of the ball dress. She felt this and wished to escape so as not to be remarked by the other women who were enveloping themselves in costly furs. Loisel held her back, saying, "Wait a bit. You'll catch cold outside. I will call a cab." But she did not listen to him and rapidly descended the stairs. When they reached the street, they could not find a carriage and began to look for one, shouting after a cabman passing in the distance. They went towards the Seine in despair, shivering with cold. At last they found on the quay one of the ancient night cabs which, as though they were ashamed to show their shabbiness during the day, are never seen around Paris until after dark. It took them to their dwelling at the Rue des Martyrs, and sadly they mounted the stairs to their flat. All was ended for her. As to him, he reflected that he must be at the ministry at 10 o'clock that morning. She removed her wraps before the glass so as to see herself one more, but suddenly she uttered with a cry. She no longer had the necklace around her neck. "What's the matter with you?" demanded her husband, almost half undressed. She turned distractedly towards him. I've lost Madame Faustier's I have lost Madame Faustier's necklace," she cried. He stood up bewildered. "Wait, what? How? Impossible." They looked amongst the folds of her skirt, of her cloak, in her pockets, everywhere, but did not find it. "Are you sure you had it on when you left the ball?" he asked. "Yes, I felt in the vestibule of the minister's house. But if you had lost it in the street, he would have heard it fall. It must be in the cab." "Yes, probably." "Did you take his number?" "No. And you? Did you notice?" "No." They looked thunderstruck at each other. At last Loisel put on his clothes. "I shall go back on foot, over the whole route, to see whether I can find it." He went out. She sat waiting on a chair in her ball dress, without strength to go to bed, overwhelmed, without any fire, without a thought. Her husband returned about 7 o'clock. He had found nothing. He went to the police headquarters, to the newspaper offices to offer a reward. He went to the cab companies, everywhere. In fact, whither it was urged by the least spark of hope. She waited all day, in the same condition of mad fear before this terrible calamity. Loisel returned at night with a hollow, pale face. He had discovered nothing. "You must write to your friend," said he, "that you have broken the clasp around the necklace, and you are having it mended. This will give us time to turn around." She wrote at his direction. At the end of the week, they had all lost hope. Loisel, who had aged 5 years, declared, "We must consider how to replace that ornament." The next day they took the box that had contained it and went to the jeweler whose name was found within. He consulted his books. "It was not I, madame, who sold that necklace. I must simply have furnished the case." And they went from jeweler to jeweler, searching for a necklace like the other, trying to recall it, both sick with chagrin and grief. They found, in a shop at Palais Royal, a string of diamonds that seemed to them exactly like the one they lost. It was worth 40,000 francs. They could have it for 36. So they begged the jeweler not to sell it for 3 days, and they made a bargain that he should buy it back for 34,000 francs in case they should find the lost necklace by the end of February. Loisel possessed 18,000 francs which his father had left him. He could borrow the rest. He did borrow, asking 1,000 francs of one, 500 of another, 5 louis here, 3 louis there. He gave notes, took up ruinous obligations, dealt with usurers, and all race of the lenders. He compromised with all the rest of his life, risking signing a note without even knowing whether he could meet it, and frightened by the trouble yet to come, by the black misery that was about to fall upon him, by the prospect of all the physical privations and moral tortures that he was to suffer. He went to get the new necklace, laying upon the jeweler's counter 36,000 francs. And Madame Loisel took back the necklace to Madame Faustier and said to her with a chilly manner, "You should have returned it sooner. I might have needed it." She did not open the case, as her friend so much feared. If she had detected the substitution, what would she have thought? What would she have said? Would she not have taken Madame Loisel for a thief? Therefore, Madame Loisel knew the horrible existence of the needy. She bore her part, however, with sudden heroism. That dreadful debt must be repaid. She would pay it. They dismissed their servant, they changed their lodgings, they rented a garret under the roof. She came to know what heavy housework meant and the odious cares of the kitchen. She washed the dishes, using her dainty fingers and rosy nails on greasy pots and pans. She washed the soiled linen and the shirts to the dishcloths, and she dried upon the line. She carried the slops down to the street every morning and carried up the water, stopping for breath at every landing. She dressed like a woman of the people. She went about to the fruiterer, the grocer, the butcher, a basket on her arm, bargaining, meeting with impertinence, defending her miserable money, sou by sou. Every month they had to meet some notes, renew others, obtain more time. Her husband worked evenings, making up a tradesman's accounts, and late at night he often copied manuscripts for 5 sous a page. This lasted 10 years. At the end of 10 years they had paid everything, with the rates of usury and the accumulations of compound interest. Madame Loisel looked old now. She had become the woman of impoverished households, strong with rough and hard work. With frowsy hair, skirts askew, and red hands, she talked loud while washing in the floor with great swishes of water. But sometimes when her husband was at the office, she sat down near the window. She thought of the gay evening of long ago, of that ball where she had been so beautiful, so admired. What would have happened if she had not lost that necklace? Who knows? Who knows? How strange and changeful life is. How a small thing is needed to make or ruin us. But one Sunday, having gone for a walk in Champs Ulysses, to refresh herself after the labors of the week, she suddenly perceived a woman who was leading a child. It was Madame Faustier, still young, still beautiful, still charming. Madame Loisel felt moved. "Sorry, I'm not French. V, don't make fun." It was Madame Faustier, still young, still beautiful, still charming. Madame Loisel felt moved. Should she speak of her? Yes, certainly. And now that she had paid, she would tell her all about it. Why not? She went up. "Good day, Jean." The other, astonished to be familiarly addressed by this plain good wife, did not recognize her and had stammered, "But, madame, I do not know. You must not mistaken. No, I am Mathilde Loisel." Her friend uttered a cry. "Oh, my poor Mathilde, how you have changed." "Yes, I've had a pretty hard life since I saw you last, in great poverty, and that because of you." "Of me? How so? Do you remember that diamond necklace you lent me to wear at the ministerial ball?" "Yes. Well, I lost it." What do you mean? You brought it back. I brought you back another exactly like it. It has taken us 10 years to pay for it. You can understand that it was not easy for us who had nothing. At last it has ended, and I am very glad. Madame Faustier stopped. You say that you brought a necklace of diamonds to replace mine? Yes. You never noticed it then. They were very similar. And she smiled with joy that was once proud and ingenious. Madame Faustier, deeply moved, took her hands. Oh, my poor Matilda. Why, my necklace was pace. It was worth at most 500 francs. And that is The Diamond Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. Yeah, I don't know my French pronunciations. I'm sorry. So yeah, there is a short bit of reading there tonight. And just a little bit of something for those of you that joined in to us. It's only been half an hour in, though. Maybe we should do one more. I know none of these. Guy or Guy? Less reading, more doggo. Doggo is chewing something very loudly behind me. You can see her head right there. Probably can hear her, too. All right. I'll have you guys make a choice. Not the story of a farm girl, because it's got many parts. What would you like out of this text? This is just short stories by Guy de Maupassant. The moribund, the gamekeeper, the wreck, Theodule Sabot's confession, the wrong house. Ooh, let's do the wrong house. Yeah, I love the pity. Let's see how long the wrong house is, not the long house. It's not too bad. Want to do the wrong house? All right. We'll do this, and then we'll get out of here for the night. I'll go to bed, and I've got to teach tomorrow. We've got a little bit of ethics tomorrow to teach. The death penalty and deontology tomorrow. The Wrong House by Guy or Guy de Maupassant. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Quartermaster, how would you pronounce that? Varieux? Varieux? We'll try that. And Podui? All right. We're just going to butcher the reading here tonight, and I'll do my best. I promise. Quartermaster Varieux had obtained a week's leave to go and visit his sister, Madame Podui. Varieux, who was in garrison at the Rennes, was leading a pretty gay life, finding himself high and dry, wrote to his sister saying that he would devote a week to her. So I know so many French names. French butchering is free. Thanks, Captain Mizzy. All right, excuse me. Let's start over. Oh, yeah, Jelly, you got a pretty gay life? It's a gay old time. It's like the Flintstones. I'm kind of liking the music tonight. I think we're good tonight. Quartermaster Varieux had obtained a week's leave to go on and visit his sister, Madame Podui. Varieux, who was in garrison at Rennes and was leading a pretty gay life, finding himself high and dry, wrote to his sister saying that he would devote a week to her. It was not that he cared particularly for Madame Podui, a little moralist, a devotee, and always cross, but he needed money, needed it very badly. And he remembered that of all his relations, the Podui were the only ones with whom he never approached on the subject. Pierre Varieux, formerly a horticulturist at Angers, was now retired from business, had closed his purse strings to his scapegoat son, and had hardly seen him for 2 years. His daughter had married Podui, a former treasury clerk, who had just been appointed tax collector at Van. Verrieux, on leaving the train, had someone direct, "Hey, Liam, good to see you." All right. All right, I got banned. Good, that's good. Verrieux, on leaving the train, had someone direct him to the house of his brother-in-law, whom he found in his office arguing with the Breton peasants of the neighborhood. Patouille rose from his seat, held out his hand across the table littered with papers, murmured, "Take a chair, I'll be at liberty in a moment," sat down again and resumed his discussion. The peasants did not understand his explanations, for the collector did not understand their line of argument. He spoke French, they spoke Breton, and the clerk who acted as an interpreter appeared not to understand either. It lasted a long, very long time. Verrieux at his brother-in-law and looked at his brother-in-law and thought, "What a fool!" Patouille must have been almost 50. He was thin, tall, bony, slow, hairy, and with heavily arched eyebrows. He wore a velvet skull cap with a gold cord Van Dyke design around it. His look was gentle, like his actions. His speech, his gestures, his thoughts were all soft. Verrieux thought to himself, "What a fool." He himself was one of the nosy roisters for whom the greatest pleasures in life are the cafe and abandoned women. He understood nothing outside of these conditions of existence. A boisterous braggart, filled with contempt for the rest of the world. He despised the entire universe from the height of his ignorance. When he said, "Nom de Gêne, what a spree," he expressed the highest degree of admiration which his mind was capable. I'm so sorry about this French, you guys. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Hold on, I gotta text Salty. I'm not sure if Salty is on here, but I know she's going to bed. He himself was one of those noisy roisterers. We already got that. Having finally gotten rid of his peasants, Patouille inquired, "How are you?" "Pretty well, as you see. And how are you?" "Quite well, thank you. It is very kind of you to have thought of coming to see me." "Oh, I've been thinking for it for some time, but you know, in the military profession, one has not much freedom." "Oh, I know. All the same, it's very kind of you. And Josephine, is she well?" "Why, yes, thank you. You will see her presently." "Where is she?" "She's making some calls. We have a great many friends here. It's a very nice town." "I thought so." The door opened and Madame Patouille entered. She went over to her brother without any eagerness, held her cheek for him to kiss, and asked, "Have you been here long?" "No, hardly half an hour." "Oh, I thought the train would be late. Why don't you come into the parlor?" They went to the adjoining room, leaving Patouille to his accounts and his taxpayers. As soon as they were alone, she said, "I've heard nice things about you." "What have you heard?" "It seems you are behaving like a blackguard, getting drunk and contracting debts." He appeared very much astonished. "I? Never in the world." "Oh, do not deny it. I know it." He attempted to defend himself, but she gave him such a lecture that he could say nothing more. She then resumed, "We dine at 6 o'clock, and you can amuse yourself until then. I cannot entertain you as I have so many things to do." Damn. She's tough, dude. She's rough. But he was alone. When he was alone, he hesitated whether he should sleep or take a walk. He looked first at the door leading to his room and then to a hall door, and he decided to go out. He sauntered slowly through the quiet Breton town, so sleepy, so calm, so dead on the shores of the inland bay that it's called Le Morbihan. Le Morbihan? I don't know. I'm trying, guys. He looked at the little gray houses, the occasional pedestrians, the empty stores, and he murmured, "Van is certainly not gay, not lively. It was a sad idea, me coming here." He reached the harbor, the desolate harbor, walked back a lonely, deserted boulevard, and got home before 5 o'clock. He threw himself on the bed, slept till dinner time. The maid woke him, knocking on the door. "Dinner is ready, sir." He went downstairs in the damp dining room with the paper peeling from the walls near the floor. He saw a soup tureen on the round table without any tablecloth, on which there were 3 melancholy soup plates. Mr. and Madame Patouille entered the room at the same time as Verrieux. They all sat down at the table, and the husband and wife crossed themselves over the pit of their stomachs, after which Pedui helped the soup, a meat soup. It was the day for pot roast. I'm not sure how soup plates can be melancholy, especially when it's pot roast. After the soup, they had beef, which was done to rags, melted, greasy like pap. The officers ate slowly with disgust, weariness, and rage. Madame Pedui said to her husband, "Are you going to the judge's house this evening?" "Yes, dear." "Don't stay out late. You always get so tired when you go out, and you're not made for society with your poor health." She then talked about society in Van and the excellent social circle which the Peduis moved, thanks to their religious sentiments. A puree of potatoes and a dish of pork were next served in honor of the guest, then some cheese, and that was all. No coffee. When Varro saw he would have to spend the evening tete-a-tete with his sister, endure her reproaches, listen to her sermons, without even a glass of liqueur to help him swallow those remonstrances, he felt that he could not stand the torture and declared that he was obliged to go to the police station to have something attended to regarding his leave of absence. And he made his escape at 7 o'clock. He had scarcely reached the street before he gave himself a shake like a dog coming out of water. He muttered, "Heavens, heavens, what a galley slave's life." And he set about looking for a cafe, the best in town. He found it on a public square behind 2 gas lamps. Inside of the cafe, 5 or 6 men, semi-gentlemen, not gentlemen, just semi-gentlemen, and not noisy, were drinking and chatting quietly, leaning their elbows on a small table while 2 billiard players walked around the green bays, where the balls were hitting each other as they rolled. One heard them coming. 18-19. No luck. Oh, that's a good stroke. Well played. 11. You should have played on the red. 20. Froze. 12. Ha ha ha. Wasn't I right? Varro ordered a demi-tasse with a small decanter of brandy, the best. Then he sat down and waited for it. He was accustomed to spending his evenings off duty with his companions amid noise and the smoke of pipes. This silence, this quiet, exasperated him. He began to drink, first the coffee, then the brandy, and asked for another decanter. He now wanted to laugh, to shout, to sing, to fight someone. He said to himself, "Gee, I'm half full. I must go and have a good time." Then he thought he would go look for some girls to amuse him. He called the waiter. "Hey, waiter." That's what you do when you call the waiter. You say, "Hey, waiter," just to let you guys know how to get waiters' attention. Here for you guys. "Hey, waiter." "Yes, sir." "Tell me, where does one amuse themselves here?" The man looked stupid and replied, "I do not know, sir. Here, I suppose." "What do you mean, here? What do you call amusing oneself yourself?" "I do not know, sir. Drinking good beer or good wine." "Ah, go away, dummy. How about the girls?" "The girls? Ha ha. Yes, the girls. Where can one find any here?" "Girls? Why, yes, girls." The boy approached and lowered his voice. "You want to know where they live?" Who else wants to know where the girls live? Just saying, I can hook them up in this story, tell you where the girls live. "Why, yes, the devil." You take 2nd Street to the left, then 1st to the right. It's number 15. Yeah, that's not at all creepy. Not at all creepy to ask for where the girls are. Not at all. This ought to go well. And Varro went to the cafe repeating, 2nd to the left, 1st to the right, number 15. But at the end of a few seconds of thought, he said, 2nd to the left? Yes, but upon leaving the cafe, I must walk to the right. It can't be helped. We shall see. I think we now know, Jelly, where the wrong house is going to be. As he walked on, turned on the 2nd Street to the left and the 1st to the right, he looked for number 15. It was a nice-looking house, and one could see behind the closed blinds that the windows were lighted up upon the 1st floor. The hall door was left partly open. A lamp was burning in the vestibule. The non-commissioned officer thought to himself, "This looks all right." He went in. As no one appeared, he called out, "Hello there, hello." I love that he just walks into someone's house, just wanders around some streets, walks into someone's house. What could go wrong? This was Texas, he'd already be dead. But it's France, so they probably surrendered. A little maid appeared and looked astonished upon seeing a soldier. He said, "Good morning, my child. Are the ladies upstairs?" "Yes, sir." "In the parlor?" "Yes, sir." "May I go up?" "Yes, sir." "The door opposite the stairs?" "Yes, sir." He ascended the stairs, opened the door, and saw, sitting in a room well lighted by 2 lamps and a chandelier and 2 candelabras with candles in them, 4 ladies in evening dress, apparently expecting someone. 3 of them, the younger ones, remained seated with rather a formal air on some crimson velvet chairs, while the 4th, who was about 45, was arranging some flowers in a vase. She was very stout and wore a green silk dress with a low neck and short sleeves, allowing her red neck covered with powder to escape as a huge flower might from its corolla. The officer saluted them, saying, "Good day, ladies." The older woman turned around, appeared surprised, but bowed. "Good morning, sir." He sat down, but seeing that they did not welcome him eagerly, he thought that possibly only commissioned officers were admitted to this house, and that made him uneasy. But he said, "Bah! If someone comes in, we can soon tell." Then he remarked, "Are you all well?" The large lady, very no doubt the mistress of the house, replied, "Very well, thank you." He could not think of nothing else to say. And they were all silent. But at last, being ashamed of his bashfulness, with an awkward laugh, he said, "Do not people have any amusement in this country? I will pay for a bottle of wine." He had not finished his sentence when the door opened, and in walked Paduy, dressed in a black suit. Veru gave a shout of joy, and rising from his seat, he rushed at his brother-in-law, put his arms around him, waltzed around the room, shouting, "Here is Paduy! Here is Paduy! Here is Paduy!" Then, letting go of the tax collector, he exclaimed and looked at him in the face. Oh, you scamp! Are you out for a good time, too? Oh, you scamp, and my sister! Are you tired of her? Say!" And he thought of all he might gain through this unexpected situation. The forced loan, the inevitable blackmail. He flung himself on the lounge and laughed so heartily that the piece of furniture creaked all over. The 3 young ladies, rising simultaneously, made their escape, while the older woman, retreating to the door, looking as though she were about to faint. And then 2 older gentlemen appeared in evening dress, wearing the ribbon of an order. Paduy rushed up to them. "Oh, Judge, he's crazy! He's crazy! He sent us over as a convalescent. Can't you see that he's crazy?" Veru was sitting up now and not able to understand it all. He guessed that he committed some monstrous folly. Then he rose and, turning to his brother-in-law, said, "What house is this?" But Paduy, suddenly become furious, stammered out, "What house? What? What house is this? Wretched scoundrel, villain! What house indeed? The house of the judge, the house of the Supreme Court, of the Supreme Court, of the Supreme Court! Oh, rascal, rascal, rascal!" The end. The Wrong House by Guy de Mapassant. Yeah, there is, I read earlier as I was I literally just did some Googling on like best short stories and stuff. And he's known for like turns-about at the end, which I kind of like. I kind of like as far as short stories go. As far as on a stream, it kind of makes for a cool, fun way to wrap it all up. So, yeah. It's all good. It's all good, man. It's all good. All right. Short stream tonight, only about an hour. Just a little bedtime story for you and yours. I also have a new thing for my... there's going to be ones about Gubs coming up, Liam. You worry. Don't you worry your pretty little head. Okay? Don't you worry your pretty little head about it. Who should we raid? We raided Sunshine last night. We can raid Sunshine again tonight if we choose. Does anybody else have any suggestions? The gub? Belsuze, that's a typo that goes back forever about a gun. Yeah. I tried to tell Liam one night to use the gun in a game that didn't have any guns, and I typed gub, and now it's been gub forever. So, I've got that going for me. Excellent. Any suggestions on who we should raid? We should raid Jelly. Jelly needs to start streaming, though. Yeah, Dio is terrible at spelling. If not, we'll raid Sunshine again, because she's on and drawing. Ooh. I would raid Liam. Jelly's about to head to bed. Yeah, Dio's about to head to bed, too. The doggo's already headed to bed. She's on the table. Gub is correct. What do you mean? All right. Let's raid over to Sunshine again. I will be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's do a raid call here. If you haven't yet, please join the Discord. You can see links down below. If you missed any of the previous VODs, they're up and you can check those out. If you like any of the things that we created, come back tomorrow and help me create some more. But also check out the share drive where you can download the monster from 2 streams ago and the magic item from last night's stream. And I'll see you guys in less than 24 hours, 8 p.m. tomorrow. Let's raid out to Sunshine. Tell her wonderful things. She's super kind. And I'll see you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. Jelly, sleep well. Everybody else, sleep well. Be excellent to each other. And I will see you all tomorrow. Love, peace, and hair grease.